vocês. Então, para compor a banca examinadora da primeira apresentação, eu chamo a professora Thalita. Professor Lucas. Professor Tiago Cabral. E a nossa estrela, Giovana.
Presented with the theme of stem cells, the cellular treatment of genetic diseases. This project was made by the student Giovanna with help of the advisor Thalita. Introdução. Este projeto fala sobre células-tronco, seu potencial para a medicina regenerativa e sua importância em todo o mundo médico, apresentando a biologia, a história, o desenvolvimento e os procedimentos e tratamentos que podem ser criados com células-tronco. Trata-se de um tema extremamente relevante a ser discutido, pois o descobrimento recente de células-tronco se tornou em não apenas novas áreas a serem estudadas e novas coisas a serem descobertas, mas também uma esperança, tanto para médicos quanto para pacientes. The theme chosen for this research project was stem cells as treatments, but it is too vague and could branch off into many different topics. So the delimitation of this theme was stem cells in the cellular treatment of genetic diseases. The problematizing questions that were raised during this project include: is it possible to perform a stem cell transplant from another individual? How does the immune system relate to stem cell therapy? What are the benefits and harms of stem cell therapy? What is the origin of stem cells? What are the known types of stem cells? And how is stem cell therapy applied? The reasoning. The medical field has gained numerous innovations as time goes by, such as new ways to conduct surgery, and they have all saved many lives. Cellular therapy will allow individuals to have more choices regarding how they want to be treated and will not be as invasive as other treatments. It will also deepen the study of cures and treatments for diseases that are known to be incurable, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, allowing treatments to be faster and more effective. The general objective of this research project was to investigate the different ways cellular therapy can be conducted, and the specific objectives were: research which genetic diseases can be treated with cellular therapy stem cells, comprehend how our bodies will react to such treatments, analyze if they are less or more invasive, and understand how stem cells will have a role in cellular therapy and medicine as a whole. The methodology used during Chapter 1 was bibliographical sources, such as scientific studies, books, and master theses, with the United States National Library of Medicine being the most cited bibliographical source. And during Chapter 2, there was a questionnaire for Sphere students and a presentation for Sphere students. Chapter 1, Theoretical Foundation. Stem cells were first discovered by cellular biologist James Still and biophysicist Ernest Maculach during the 1960s while they were conducting an experiment with radiation in mice. Stem cells are unspecialized cells that are present in every living organism's body from which all other cells are generated. As previously stated, stem cells are naturally found within every living organism's body, but the location of where they reside is specifically and directly connected with their ability to specialize and differentiate. And because of that, stem cells have 3 different levels of potency. Stem cells can be pluripotent, meaning that they can become any type of cell, such as blood cells, bone cells, fat cells, and etc. Stem cells can be multipotent, which means that they are predetermined to become a specific category of cells, but are able to become any type of cell within this category. So for example, a stem cell is predetermined to become a blood cell, but it can become any type of blood cell, such as red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma cells, and etc. And stem cells can also be unipotent, meaning that they are predetermined in every single aspect. And stem cells have incredible abilities of self-renewal, meaning that they can go through the process of cellular division faster than any other cell, allowing there to be an increased number of cells within a smaller amount of time. And this has attracted the attention of many scientists and doctors due to its great potential for regenerative medicine. In order for a cell to become specialized, it needs to go through the differentiation process, in which the cell will undergo physical and molecular changes, such as size alternations and shape changes. And this process will provide cells with their needed characteristics for their specific function. And because of this, unitalized genes will be ignored. So for example, there is a bone cell that has all of the other genes. And these genes might code for different things, but they will be ignored rather than trashed because genes are important and they are present in every cell. There are three main types of stem cells. The first one being embryonic stem cells, which are the only natural cells that are pluripotent. Embryonic stem cells can be acquired in between the 4th and 7th day after fertilization, but in order to acquire these stem cells, the embryo or fetus needs to be killed. So there is a really big controversy behind it, and its use is completely banned and illegal in many different countries, such as France and Italy. And because of this, induced pluripotent stem cells were created. They are adult stem cells which were collected, transferred into a lab, and then modified in order to acquire embryonic-like characteristics. And this makes induced pluripotent stem cells artificial cells. And lastly, there are adult stem cells, which are present in every living organism's adult body. Types of adult stem cells. There are hematopoietic stem cells, which are blood cells, and they can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as leukemia and sickle cell disease. There are nervous stem cells, which are nervous cells, and they can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as Parkinson's disease and epilepsy. There are intestinal stem cells, which are intestinal cells, that can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as Hurler's disease and Barrett's lymphatic syndrome. There are mesenchymal stem cells, which are bone cells, and they can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as Marfan syndrome and dystrophic dysplasia. There are satellite stem cells, which are muscle cells, and they can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as progressive congenital myopathy with scoliosis and Carey-Finman syndrome. And there are epidermal stem cells, which are skin cells, and they can be used in the treatment of genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis and ectodermal dysplasia. Regenerative medicine is a fairly new medical field which aims to regenerate damaged or harmed parts of an organism's body instead of using external treatments and drugs to do so. Some examples of regenerative medicine include cartilage regeneration, platelet-rich plasma, also known as PRP, prolotherapy, which is an image of the comparison of before and after a patient who went under prolotherapy. Here you can see that there is absolutely no cartilage, so the bones of the patient are constantly hitting themselves. While here there is cartilage, the cartilage was regenerated, and the bones are no longer hitting themselves. And there also is cellular therapy, which is also known as CT. And cellular therapy is the use of stem cells within regenerative medicine. Some examples of cellular therapy include blood transfusions, which are the most common type of cellular therapy. Blood transfusions are allogeneic transplants, meaning that they use stem cells from a donor to a recipient. And there is bone marrow transplants, which aim to treat patients with blood-related diseases, such as bone marrow failure disease and leukemia. And bone marrow transplants can either be allogeneic or autologous, meaning that the stem cells used can either be from the own patient or from a donor. And here there is a syringe containing the stem cells that are being inserted into the bone marrow of the patient. And there also is CAR T-cell therapy, which focuses on the immune system and immune cells. Now there is a little video of how stem cells work in the body.
Whenever there is an injury or a challenge to an organ or tissue, a whole process of renewal takes place in the body to help restore optimal health. Soon after the injury, the affected tissue releases specific compounds that travel through the blood to the bone marrow. When the compounds released by the injured tissue reach the bone marrow, these messengers tell the stem cells in the bone marrow to divide and create new stem cells, which are then released from the bone marrow into the bloodstream. Slowly, the number of stem cells increases in the blood circulation. At the same time, the affected tissue releases another compound called stromal-derived factor 1, or SDF1, that attracts stem cells. As stem cells circulate in the fine blood vessels of the affected tissue and sense the presence of this compound, they stop in the blood flow and migrate into the tissue. Inside the tissue, stem cells slowly migrate to the very site of injury where SDF1 is being secreted. When they reach the site of the injury and come into contact with the damaged tissue, stem cells begin to multiply and then slowly transform into cells of that tissue. Through this process of amplification, one stem cell can become thousands of tissue cells. It is through this natural process of renewal that the body maintains optimal health every day of our lives.
Chapter 2, Informative Presentation regarding stem cells and bone marrow transplants, an application of a survey of said topic. During Chapter 2 of the research project, students are able to conduct interviews, classes, surveys, presentations, and etc. And during this specific research project, there was a conduction and application of a presentation, and also an application and results of a formulary or survey of said presentation. The presentation was about stem cells and their characteristics, bone marrow transplants, and the requirements to become a donor. And both the formulary and the presentation were conducted for the classes of Year 8 and Year 9, doing the lessons of doing science lessons and biology lessons. And there were a total of 30 answers. And the objective of the formulary was to compare the students' knowledge before and after the presentation. Graphic 1, before, what are stem cells? 31% had limited knowledge, meaning that they had heard the term stem cells before but didn't know what they were, while 69% didn't know. Graphic 2, before. Can stem cells be used to cure diseases? If yes, list 2 of them. 10.3% thought so and could list one disease, which was cancer. 34.5% thought so but couldn't list any examples, while 55.2% didn't know. Graphic 3, before. What are bone marrow transplants and who they aim to treat? 20.7% had limited knowledge, meaning that they knew that it aimed to treat patients with blood-related diseases, but they didn't know what bone marrow transplants were. And 79.3% didn't know. Graphic 4, before. Are you interested in becoming a bone marrow donor? If yes, do you know the requirements? 27.6% want to become donors but do not know the requirements, while 72.4% don't know either of them. Graphic 5, after the presentation. What are stem cells? Here, 100% of students could answer correctly. Graphic 6, after. Can stem cells be used to cure diseases? If yes, then list at least 2 examples. 100% of students could do so. Graphic 7, after. What are bone marrow transplants and who they aim to treat? 96.6% knew and could list examples, while 3.4% knew but couldn't list any examples, and this was only one answer. And graphic 8, after. Are you interested in becoming a bone marrow donor? If so, do you know the requirements? 55.2% want to become donors and know the requirements. 13.6% maybe want to become donors and know the requirements. And 31% do not wish to become donors but know the requirements. Conclusion of the formulary. The conduction of the presentation was successful because students were able to learn and educate themselves. The comparison between the before and after answers show that the students actually learned with the presentation as they were able to correctly answer the questions. But aside from that, the Chapter 2 of the research project was also able to be a sensibilizing act, since students now are willing to become donors in the future and save more lives. Conclusão. As células-tronco desempenham um papel importante na medicina regenerativa e são o futuro de todo mundo médico. Com características únicas, como a autorrenovação, as células-tronco têm o potencial de criar curas e tratamentos que são conhecidos por serem incuráveis durante toda a história humana, permitindo que muitas vidas sejam salvas. O objetivo geral e os objetivos específicos foram alcançados através das pesquisas realizadas em células-tronco, terapias celulares, procedimentos e doenças, e as perguntas problematizadoras foram respondidas durante a pesquisa. E este é um tema extremamente relevante a ser discutido e aprendido, porque as células-tronco são potencialmente o futuro da medicina e têm potencial de salvar muitas vidas que de outra forma não teriam chance contra doenças, especialmente doenças genéticas, pois geralmente são extremamente agressivas. This is the bibliography, and thank you so much for your attention.
Bom dia, senhores. Bom dia. Tudo bem, Gi? Bom, antes de tudo, queria parabenizar você pela sua apresentação de alto nível, muito assertiva, né? Falando o que precisava ser falado para que fosse entendido rapidamente, né? Acho que você está preparado para o mundo científico. Primeira coisa que eu tenho que te falar. Eu tenho duas perguntas sobre o seu trabalho. Primeiro, células-tronco é algo natural dentro do nosso corpo. Existem maneiras de eu produzir, de eu aumentar o número de células dentro do meu corpo?
Bom, sim, existe. As células-tronco já vão fazer isso normalmente, porque elas têm o processo de, não sei na português, eu fiz em inglês, cellular division, que é mais rápido que todas as células no corpo, então a sua produção de células já é mais rápida, mas também existem algumas substâncias que também podem ser injetadas no corpo para aumentar a produção.
É nesse sentido que eu fiquei curioso, porque quando você fala dos tratamentos, você está falando dessa injeção,
Sim.
certo? De células-tronco. E aí eu fiquei curioso se a gente poderia fazer alguma coisa para estimular o nosso corpo a já ter esse tratamento naturalmente. A segunda questão, eu quero saber se você pesquisou sobre os custos desse tratamento para você apresentar para nós.
Assim, eu não tive uma ideia específica direta de quanto custa, mas em geral as terapias celulares são muito mais baratas do que procedimentos normais. Então, por exemplo, tem que fazer um transplante de coração que custa não sei quantos reais. Uma terapia celular que tentaria colocar mais células de sangue, tronco de sangue no seu corpo para tentar ajudar o seu coração, ou até mesmo células de músculo para fortalecer o coração, são muito mais baratas do que outros tratamentos, mas como é algo muito novo e muita gente não conhece, acaba que nem sabem que tem essa possibilidade, e daí tanto gastariam menos dinheiro, quanto provavelmente teria mais sucesso o procedimento em geral.
Uma última pergunta, você fez alguma pesquisa de aplicação desses tratamentos em hospitais no Brasil, justamente para a gente poder divulgar isso e ir em busca, caso seja necessário, desses tratamentos de baixo custo, vou chamar assim?
Bom, o Hospital Albert Einstein e o Sírio-Libanês em São Paulo têm feito algumas pesquisas em relação a isso. E eu também vi um artigo com os meus pais em casa sobre uma reunião assim, que teve aqui no Brasil dos 200 melhores médicos da Organização Internacional de Células-Tronco que vieram para o Brasil discutir exatamente os tratamentos que podem ser implementados não só nos países mais desenvolvidos como os Estados Unidos, mas em países menos desenvolvidos também ou em desenvolvimento. Então, é muito legal.
Gi, parabéns pelo seu trabalho. Eu fico muito orgulhoso de dividir esse ano com você. Parabéns.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my dear. What a pleasure. You know, the chance that we have here to see you so eloquently speaking about a very complex topic in English. You should be presenting at a conference, an international conference. You would do very well. Ms. Talita told us that, and I totally agree with her. Well, let's say positive aspects. I totally believe that the relevance of the topic was clear. Everybody knows that. Reliable sources. I found here many reliable sources, so I could see the main scientists helped you during the whole process in terms of writing the paper, in terms of writing the project. Organization. It was very well structured, organized topics, subtopics. And methodology, I totally believe that you embodied the methodology and you could explore. And the explanation regarding the procedures of the research project, you did very well. Then I saw, not only did I see that, but also your academic writing in English is really good. Congratulations, very formal, straight to the point, academic, very academic. And I only have one suggestion to you, since you have this activity, applied this activity, and you had year 8 and year 9 students work on that, I would ask them to answer open-ended questions so that you could have more materials to analyze, yes? And then, yes?
They were actually open-ended questions, but the answers were really similar, so I decided to make them in a more data, like, specific.
Try to concentrate information, like
yes.
yes, no, may, okay. Then, I have one question for you then about it. How was the experience while you're presenting and while you're talking about the topic with the students? How was the experience? How did you feel? Did you feel that they were interested in learning about stem cells? They were interested in learning about science and complex lingo and words? How do you think?
Well, talking from my perspective first, it was actually really hard to explain such topics in an easy way for students, especially for year 8 students, because specifically the potency parts, like pluripotent, multipotent, unipotent, because it is very tricky to find the right words to explain this, but I could do it nonetheless. And from the perspective of the students, I think that they were pretty engaged. They really paid attention during my presentation. They asked questions afterwards, questions that I wasn't really expecting, and even questions that were not exactly related to this, but generally related. And I was really happy about that. And I was also really happy that more people are willing to donate their own stem cells in the future and save more lives.
And the last question, how would you adapt the class to year 6 students, for example? What possibilities would you find? Yes?
I tried to do that. I actually had written another document in order to be easier, like easier words and images, also videos to present for them. And I actually ended up at home. I tried to do this with my little sister, and it really, really easy way, because she's in year 4 and she didn't understand everything, but she got the general idea, so it was successful.
So you did it perfectly well, because if you can explain something to a child who's 7 and an adult who is 32 or teens, you completed it. Congratulations, I'm very proud of you. And one more time, you deserve it all. You deserve the very best. Congratulations.
I'm gonna even start without tearing up a little bit.
Don't cry.
No, I won't, but if they are proud, I have goosebumps. It's impressive, Giovanna. It's impressive. The whole year you showed commitment. You're so mature. This right here, this is you. None of this is me. None of it. Not a word. And it's impressive. You're a young lady who is passionate about knowledge, and it's inspiring. Coming from your teacher, you inspire me every day, and I hope you know that. I hope you know that every day I see you in my class, I feel honored, I feel proud, and I know one day I'm gonna say, look, this was my student, look at her. I know you're gonna be somewhere in this world just blowing minds like you did today. It's outstanding. It's impressive. I'm beyond proud, and I cannot say anything else besides I'm proud of you. And your family, you guys, you're amazing. And I've been saying this to you. Your sister has so much to look up for. I'm speechless. You are amazing, Giovanna. Amazing. And I cannot say anything else. Congratulations, my dear. See, hard work pays off. You are amazing. I cannot even ask you about the IB question I've been asking everyone else, because if you have to say something, you're an IB student role model, and you know that, and I hope you on it proudly, okay? Every time. Now you're going to discuss about your grade, okay? I'll be right back. I wonder.
Eu me saí também na apresentação do Gabriel, você vai chorar também.
Parabéns, Gi!
Professor Lucas. Professor Tiago Cabral. E a nossa